Good morning. We made good progress last night, and we probably started hammering our first nails at maybe 6:30 after putting the first wall up. So I'm thinking we made really good progress considering it was getting dark, too dark to really safely hammer nails anymore. So I did. We did get that third wall up, and we're in a rush to put it up. We should have, because the last wall has to fit in between here, we should have secured that side over there and had bracing over here to make sure that that last wall slides in okay. So last night I came out with my flashlight because I'm obsessive that way, and I checked how the last wall was fitting, and I found that it's within the area is supposed to be like 1/8 of an inch, and I freaked out. It's like, oh no, this isn't going to work. So even later I came out with the tape measure and I measured the distance, and I should have 103, and I actually do. The next step is putting that 10-foot cabinet in here, even if I'm just setting it on the floor, because once we put that last wall on, we won't be able to slide it in. Maybe through the window wall, actually, we could do that, but it would be easier just to put it in right now and then secure the last wall in. The unfortunate thing is I don't have a truck, and I need all the sheathing now, and the roof deck. It's supposed to start raining in 3 days, so I've got a real dilemma. I need to. I hate calling on the same friend over and over for the same thing as truck, but at this point I kind of have no choice but to call. Either that or pay $80 for a delivery, which at this point I think I might be willing to do, but we really don't have $80 extra laying around. I'd rather put gas in my friend's truck than pay $80 for someone to deliver the stuff. On the other hand, if they deliver, they're unloading the truck, so that might be a good thing, but they'd probably unload it in my driveway, which is like diagonal to where I am, so that would be a problem too. I'm hoping that I have a resolution to this within the next couple hours. In the meantime, I'm going to put some more nails in this to secure it better. Okay, you already saw us putting in this first wall, and you saw, well, unless I edited out the trial that we had in putting the first nail in. So it's just simply tacked in right now. I got a couple nails in here, so that's fine right there. Nothing here. I need to put more nails, but we just needed to get it in enough in order to put the second wall in to secure it so that it's standing straight. And my measurements, as you can see, it comes in perfectly. It aligns perfectly. The angle is perfect. So I think I did well for my first larger structure. I built a pig pen years ago with a slant roof, but this is the first big project with a slant roof. With any thing, it's my first really big project, so really pleased with it. So you saw when I was hammering in the nail down or right here, the stud over here is kind of in the way, and we found that it's much easier to pre-drill and then put the nail in. So here's the other side of that stud, so that's why we have to go in on the far side of the stud and then kind of go in at an angle to catch that. This is a top plate, and then this is called a bottom plate down here. But on top of the top plate, I don't know if you can see it clearly, this top plate goes all the way to the very end, and this one butts up against it. The next top plate, this one will go to the very end, and this one will butt up against it, so it locks the corners in. And we'll do that on every one of them. So over here, and it looks like there's a mistake here, but there's not. This top plate here is is flat. I didn't do the angle because I would have had to angle the header, and that would have been more than difficult. So up here what I did is I dropped the height a ½ inch down from this so that when the top plate is put on, it'll rest right on the very corner. It'll work out just fine. So I really hadn't measured how much space I would have in my loft area, and it looks like quite a bit from this angle, but it's really only 30 inches from the top plate to that crossbeam right there. And so I'm gonna have 30 inches, well, it's actually like 3/4 of an inch more, but by the time I put on the plywood floor, I'll have about 30 inches, and that I could crawl in. I don't know if a man could, but I could crawl in it. And then it's going to slope down to nothing, pretty much. One thing that I haven't checked yet is to check for square, what you do to make sure your building is completely square with itself. I mean, this is a rectangle, slightly rectangle, but to make sure that your walls are completely square with each other, you measure diagonally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from that back corner back there to this front corner over here, and then compare the distance between that back corner over here and this one up here. So I haven't done that yet, so let's do that real quick. What I'm doing is I'm measuring only to where the other wall is going to meet it, so 3.5 inches in. So just a tack number 166.5. Let's hope it's the same. Look square? We are good. Okay, so when we put the last wall in, everything should be good. Oh, I mentioned something about plumb earlier. Okay. Hope you can see me okay with the sun there. Let me turn you just a little. So I noticed I get this haze if it's not just right. Let's see if I can. Oh well, you're not going to be straight. I am. Yeah. What plumb means is this line, this level here, this one. When you're straight up and down, and the bubble is exactly centered between those two lines, that means you're plumb. So if I were to do a plumb line, and that's how a lot of people will do things. You take some sort of string, and you hang a pendulum of some sort of weight. You could even use a heavy washer, and you hang it from the top corner of the building or whatever you're trying to make exactly straight up and down. And if it is exactly in line with that, that means it's plumb. So you can do it that way or this way. I need to get the insulation up behind the cabinet before I put it in. And I figure while I'm at it, I might as well. This is the south-facing wall, and the windows are going to be up at the top. But at the bottom, and on that last part right there, I need to put some insulation in so that it doesn't get extremely hot in there. And then I'm just going to keep working until I can get more help. I'm also going to need to put underneath the windows. You see the space is pretty wide. I think I'll be fine with this narrower one, and then there's one further over that's more narrow. But this area and that one, I'm trying to point and look in the camera at the same time to make sure I'm pointing at the right place. I need to put one cripple in. A cripple is the piece that goes underneath or above doorways. Let's see, you can't see any right now. But the short piece that goes underneath, because the insulation is 15 inches wide, and those openings are like 20 3/4 inches wide. So I need to put a cripple in. Also, while I'm doing it, the sheathing is 4 feet wide, so I'm going to make sure that the sheathing will land on, I'm going to try to make sure that the sheathing will land right on one of my cripples, so I'm going to get started on that. Okay, I'm finally ready to start putting the insulation in. I put the cripples underneath the windows, And I made sure to leave 15-inch spaces because the insulation is designed for 16-inch on center. So on center means it goes from the center of the 2x4s, so the space in 2x4s. So the space in between is 15 inches. And then because my insulation is backed only on one side with paper, I'm going to attach it from this side. And I'm going to go ahead and do under the windows. But the main thing is, over here on where I'm going to have that big cabinet, I put these supports in at some places to help hold up the cabinet. And so the spaces in between that I won't be able to get to and behind it, I really need to put the insulation now before we put the cabinet up there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what I'm carrying here is a mask. So if you're doing insulation indoors, you want to wear your mask because fiberglass particles would play havoc on your lungs. You don't want that. And also, you want to wear your gloves because the fiberglass particles really embed into your skin and it itches really bad. And I have here a long sleeve shirt. I grabbed this one for one because it's something I don't wear. It's something my oldest son gave me. It was his work shirt. He had gotten stained on the pocket. And I want white because I'm going to be in the sun most of the time now since I took so long. So you want to make sure to cover as much skin as you can because this stuff is itchy. And like I said, if you're working indoors, make sure to wear a mask so you don't get the particles in your lungs. If it seems too dusty for me, I'm going to go ahead and put it on anyway, just because I really don't want that in me. So I'm going to get started. So my son is like a little over 6 foot, almost 6'1". So when I put his shirt on, I forgot how big it was on me. It was like a dress. So this isn't to be cutesy. This is so that it's up out of my way, okay? Okay, so I measured out on the back wall the longer pieces that go behind the cupboard, and they're exactly 6 feet. So what I'm going to do is take a leftover piece from my floor and slide it underneath at about 6 feet. Oh. And I'm going to measure the 6 feet. It's right there. Take a leftover scrap piece of 2x4 or whatever you have for your straight edge. You could use a nice metal strip would be good. And hopefully this blade is sharp enough to do this. What you do is you press down really hard on it and you cut right through. If you have a sharp enough blade. I may have to go find another blade. Go through one more time just to make sure. Yep, there we go. And then you've got a decent line. Now we're going to go ahead and put that up. Like I was saying, I'm not finishing the walls in here, so the paper side is going to go on the inside. And what you want to do when you first take your sheet out of the stack of sheets is make sure that it has time to fluff up a little bit so it has maximum insulating factor. If you get the full, I have R13 factor, I think it is. And on the edges, it'll have this little piece of paper that's kind of folded in. You want to pull that out a little bit so you can staple to it. So you bring it all the way up to the top. Oh, that's more than 6 feet. I must have measured wrong. There's an old saying, measure twice, cut once. Okay, so it's not 6 feet, it's 66 inches. I don't know where I was getting 6 feet from. So that's much more like it. It's stretched a bit, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and staple it in. I'm also low on staples. So it's just going to be one of those days. Got it kind of pushed up there a little bit. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to squish it together, because from what I was reading, that actually reduces its ability to insulate properly. This should fit perfectly in this wall as it is, because this is 16 on center. Go ahead and get this one all stapled up. I'm not sure how many staples you're supposed to put in these, but I've got very few. Okay, one up, lots to go. So we've made a lot of progress. The guys came home. We've got 4 walls up. There's the cabinet back there. It goes almost end to end. I have 3 inches to spare. And I went to the store and I got my staples. And then I got this too, because I needed something to hang my hammer on, because I'm going to be up there hammering and such, and and also just bending over and having to pick up the hammer repeatedly was a problem. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have a hammer, I need nails. So I was going to get one of those pouches you put on your belt, and to carry the nails and the hammer. And this was $2 more, and it's leather. So here it is, sporting a brand new tool belt. I like it. So I was able to get the insulation, as you can see, across most of the back. I'm going to finish, I'm not going to finish, I'm going to do some more on that before we put the cabinet up, so that it's not in the way of any of that business. And I need to put the strip down the side, because I realized after we got the cabinet in there, I can't get over there to staple. So I'm going to get busy on that. Ian is hammering the walls in better. Don't put any down here at the door. And I'm just so happy. So I will do an update on the progress later.